tell me, and this is, I'm assuming this is kind of like where you learned what you're doing now, or where you began to have the
Absolutely.
epiphany. Tell me a little bit about your journey to Any Road, and when you had the epiphany that this is a problem that really people need solving.
Yeah. So this was about 20 years ago. AnyRoad had just, sorry, not AnyRoad. Red Bull
Red
had
Bull.
just come to the United States.
Uh-huh.
Not that many people knew what Red Bull was yet. And
Mhm.
I got hired right out of college onto the marketing team. And this totally blew my mind because we were spending over $1 billion per year on experiences.
Unbelievable.
And we believed even back then that digital marketing was completely oversaturated,
Hmm.
right? Every day, living in California, Colorado, we see something like 14,000 advertisements. And every time we see a billboard by the side of the road, or click on an Instagram ad, or receive a spam email, or look at a banner ad on the internet, these don't actually change our behavior at all.
Right.
However, you bring your best friends to this crazy Red Bull event, and there are people jumping out of airplanes, going
Hmm.
down mountains on
Hmm.
tricycles, DJs are playing, people are dancing, everyone's having an amazing time. And somebody comes up to you and hands you an ice cold Red Bull. This actually creates an emotional bond
Yeah.
that not only changes your perspective of the
Hmm.
Red Bull brand, but
Hmm.
also changes your purchase behavior going forward.
Hmm.
So we spent over $1 billion per year on this.
Hmm.
Clearly, it worked, right? Red Bull has by far number one market share,
Right.
but it drove me absolutely crazy that we had no data. I'm a data geek. I wanted
Yeah,
to
sure.
understand exactly how these experiences were actually changing,
Hmm.
the brand perception and the consumption habits of our customers, and we had nothing. And when I dove into it, what we realize now is that the world is significantly more experiential,
Hmm.
but the world is also more data driven.
Hmm.
And we look at this as a huge problem worth solving because really every organization has become an experiential organization.
Hmm.
Uh, and every organization needs to really have data to make business decisions.
Hmm. Well, and that's a good segue into, you founded the company with your brother, um,
Hmm.
Daniel, in 2013. He
Yes.
is the co-founder and COO. And his background, he founded a film company and then a lifestyle magazine about alcohol culture. What was it about his background that made him a good partner for you?
Yeah. So Daniel wrote a book
Hmm.
called "Drink More Whiskey,"
Right.
and this was an amazing book. I highly recommend it if you're at all into whiskey. And in what I call his research, with quotes, his research phase, he got to go to Japan and Kentucky and Tennessee
Hmm.
and Scotland, and he got to go to these amazing whiskey distilleries, and he has these stories of going to Scotland and going to the Macallan Castle, and there was a butler there, and they took him into the secret room, and there were like all
Wow.
the Macallans they had ever made, and
Hmm.
just gave him a glass, and he got to taste that, and he had food there, and he stayed overnight, and it was this incredible experience. So much so that now, when he goes to a bar and he sees a bottle of Macallan, he thinks back to this incredible Macallan experience.
Wow.
And he went to them and he said, "Look, this is pretty expensive to invest in. Like, you're a whiskey brand, you have this castle, and you have to pay a butler, and you have to pay cooks, and like a lot of upkeep, like
Hmm.
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hmm.
Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "Oh, because people come and they have this incredible experience, and they become lifelong Macallan whiskey drinkers."
Uh,
Like,
yeah.
I believe that, you have this amazing experience. It changes your
Hmm.
consumption habits.
Hmm.
And he's like, does it really work? And they're like, "Yeah, we think so." "What do you mean you think so? You don't have any data around it?" They're like, "No, we believe that it works." And this combined with my Red Bull experience, we just realized that literally every brand that we could think of, and we play this game sometimes where we're like, Unilever, is Unilever investing in experiential? Yes, Unilever is spending $1 billion per year on experiential. Um, and we start to understand that really every business that is thriving is becoming experiential business, and the ones that are not becoming experiential businesses are being completely disrupted.
That's so interesting. So, as I said, you founded the company in 2013. And you're in Series A, you've raised about $24 million over 3 rounds. What is it about what you're doing that has your investors excited?
So I think there are two things. One, we've built a platform that in an area that no one else has built.
Mm,
Daniel and I both had very unique experiences.
mhm,
His in the alcohol world, mine in the Red Bull world, where we realized that the experience economy is thriving, but that the secret to really powering it was from a data centric perspective. And this
mhm,
is something that this was a very unique insight that was, I think, a little bit ahead of its time. Um, the other piece of this is really the macro trends. So our entire company is not necessarily a bet on specific software products we're building, but it's a bet on the experience economy. And we believe that the world is in a massive cultural and economic shift at the moment from a things economy to an experience economy.
mhm,
And we see this in terms of millennials who spend way more money on experiences than things. In fact,
mhm.
72% of millennials prefer to spend money on experiences than things.
Wow.
Car ownership is declining all over the world. Retail brands are literally shutting down every single week. But the brands that are thriving are actually transforming themselves into experiential businesses.
Mhm.
Uh, in fact, US consumer brands are spending $71 billion per year. US consumer brands alone are spending $71 billion per year on experiences,
Mhm.
and none of them have data. So, what we realize is that
Interesting.
this experience economy is taking over every industry,
Mhm.
and we wanted to not only be the catalyst that can help it grow, but really uh, be the platform that turns it into direct data and ROI.
Is your prospect sweet spot just the Fortune 2000s?
Mostly,
Yeah.
we work with some mid market companies too, but really, it's any organization that has a that makes decisions with data. Generally, that's large enterprises that are selling to consumers,
Mhm.
um, and understand that the world is experiential, but it's not enough to spend on experiential without actually having the data and ROI to back that up.
So it's strictly B2C?
We work with strictly B2C companies, yes, today.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So if you let's talk, you said you made a pivot early on, and like I said, you founded the company in 2013. You didn't take your seed round till 2015. Tell me a little bit about that journey from founding the company and the pivot to where you are now.
Yeah. So the philosophy has always been the same, right? Which is to actually build software and data for the experience economy to
Mhm.
both power it and be the catalyst to expand it. Um, we started the company focused on small businesses, though,
Mm,
and the core flaw here was that small businesses don't really care a lot about data. Uh, so
interesting.
uh, we pounded our head on the wall for about 4 years. We were close to shutting down the company at some point, and at the key takeaway here was that we realized that we were sitting on mountains of data, and this was really important data that could link a consumer through the experience directly to a business outcome. So much so that we could start to predict when these SMBs were going to go out of business. We could start to predict when they were actually going to take off based on the experience. And so the key here is linking the experience with revenue.
Mhm.
Um, and around the same time, we met Mark Benioff, the CEO of
Mhm.
Salesforce,
Mhm.
who said, Jonathan, this is basically the experiential Salesforce, except
Right.
stop selling to SMBs. This needs to be an enterprise
Yeah.
platform. Enterprises need this data that can link experiences directly uh, to business outcomes,
Mhm.
and they'll pay you a lot of money for it. So pivot. And he co-led our seed round.
Wow, that's fantastic. Um, do you have competitors?
Not today.
Wow,
I'm sure
amazing.
we will.
Yeah.
I think we're about 5, 6 years ahead of any potential competitors from a software and innovation perspective. But I'm sure we will see competitors as the space heats up.
Hmm. So how do you currently find your prospects and then subsequently customers? Outbound or inbound?
Yeah. It used to be outbound. Post pandemic, it's a lot of inbound. What we're seeing is for the first time in a year and a half, people are finally leaving their living rooms and going out into the world. And
Yep.
post pandemic, experiential is just booming,
Mm,
significantly larger than it ever was pre pandemic. And the interesting thing is, we've significantly expanded what we consider an experience because of the pandemic.
mhm,
It used to be all IRL, in real life experiences. And now digital experiences are experiences too. So people like my mom, who had never heard of Zoom before, now every
mhm,
day she's on Zoom classes and Zoom lectures and Zoom theater. The world has fundamentally changed.
mhm,
And so what we're seeing is this explosion of both in real life experiences coming back, because we are
mhm.
human beings who crave
Yep.
connection, who crave
Right.
experiences. But also, this is not cannibalizing online experiences. And so this combination of online and offline is really powering the growth of the experience economy. And so now we're getting a ton of inbound that we're trying to keep up with
Mhm.
from brands that we had never even considered experiential brands.
What is it about experience that creates loyalty?
It's a change of emotion. So the same way that uh, we see 14,000 advertisements a day, and
Mm,
you might see a pair of Lululemon yoga pants on
mhm,
Instagram and be like,
mhm,
oh, it's on sale, maybe I'll buy that.
mm,
But if Lululemon could get you to start taking yoga classes every week at the local Lululemon store, and you
right.
love this teacher, Marie, she's an amazing yoga teacher, and she teaches so well, and you're taking her classes every week in the Lululemon store, and they play your favorite song, and you get to meet the other people, and you're making friends there. This actually builds emotion. It builds
Mhm,
emotional connection. So
mhm,
you don't look at this as a company that makes pants. You look at this as a company that is actually fueling experiences. And
mhm,
we are experiential people, right? We are
mhm,
experiential beings. And what we're seeing is that experiences have the power to not just drive one incremental sale, but really to change lifetime value and lasting behavior.
mm. Is loyalty age related or generational,
Um,
that you're finding?
It is segmented, let me put
Yeah,
it that way, right?
yeah.
So if you do yoga every single day,
Mhm.
and I never do yoga, we should probably not be in the same Lululemon yoga class. Or if you and I want to go to Stranahan's Whiskey,
Mhm. You're
which
in
is out
Denver?
in Colorado near
Yep,
you,
yep.
and they have incredible experiences,
Mhm,
incredible whiskey experiences and
mhm.
tastings,
They do.
and the two of us are going to go together to go drink some whiskey. But you love Stranahan's and I actually don't drink. Not sure. I'm just hypothetically speaking.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
We should probably not be in the same experience,
Mhm,
because we would not find it would not impact us exactly the same. So
mhm,
yes, this is age related, but really experiences are across classes, across demographics, across ages,
mhm.
um, and really impact people very differently, but impact people all the same.
Carol Schultz here. Thanks for watching this excerpt from Authentically Successful. The conversation doesn't end there. So if you want to hear this episode in full and all my conversations with many other successful founders and CEOs, please visit verticalelevation.com/podcast.